Norman Conquest and Medieval London 1066 to 1485. From fortress to flourishing city, the year 1066 marked one of the most dramatic turning points in English history. With the Battle of Hastings, William, Duke of Normandy, defeated the Anglo-Saxon king Harold Godwinson and seized the English crown. This Norman conquest not only changed the monarchy, but deeply transformed the city of London, setting it on a path to becoming the capital and beating heart of the English realm. William the Conqueror and the Tower of London. Though William's army triumphed in battle, he faced resistance across England, especially in London. The city was strategically important, economically wealthy, and fiercely independent. William knew that controlling London was essential to securing his rule. He entered the city cautiously, offering charters and privileges to win over its leaders. Yet he also knew that power must be backed by force. To dominate and defend his new capital, William began constructing a massive stone fortress on the eastern edge of the city, the Tower of London. Built initially as a wooden Matan bailey in the 1070s, it was soon replaced by the stone White Tower, a symbol of Norman authority and military might. It was unlike anything seen before in England, a bold, foreign monument looming over the Thames. The Tower of London served multiple roles: a royal residence, a prison, an arsenal, and a place of execution. Over time, it grew into a sprawling complex, feared, respected, and central to the governance of the kingdom. The rise of London as capital. While earlier kings had used Winchester as a base of power, the Normans increasingly focused on London. It offered trade routes via the Thames, proximity to continental Europe, and a growing population. William's successors, especially Henry I and Henry II, expanded royal administration and legal authority from the city. The construction of Westminster Hall in 1097 and the development of the Palace of Westminster helped shift political gravity westward. By the 12th century, London had become the de facto capital of England, the seat of royal government, legal courts, and foreign diplomacy. It was a city of merchants, clerics, noblemen, and craftsmen. The Guildhall rose as the center of civic government. The city's guilds, associations of traders and artisans, grew powerful, helping to regulate trade, support apprentices, and represent their members, economic expansion, and daily life. Medieval London was noisy, crowded, and alive with activity. The Thames bustled with boats bringing wool, wine, spices, and timber. Narrow cobbled streets teemed with vendors and carts. Livestock wandered through open markets. The smell of tanneries, fish stalls, and hearth smoke filled the air. Over time, the population grew to more than 50,000, making it one of the largest cities in Europe. Craftsmen and merchants lived above their shops. Taverns, monasteries, and churches dotted the neighborhoods. Religious life was central, and St. Paul's Cathedral stood at the heart of spiritual London. The original cathedral, dating back to the early Middle Ages, was rebuilt by the Normans as a grand Romanesque church, one of the largest in Christendom. Education also began to flourish. By the 12th century, scholars gathered near St. Paul's and Westminster, eventually forming institutions that would become the University of London in later centuries. Magna Carta and London's political clout. Londoners were not passive subjects. The city asserted its privileges, resisted taxation, and fought to defend its rights. In 1215, when rebellious barons forced King John to sign the Magna Carta, Londoners played a key role in the negotiations. The city had supported the rebellion and, in return, secured greater autonomy. During this period, the office of Lord Mayor of London was formalized, and the City of London began to act almost as a semi-independent entity, with its own courts, militias, and laws, all operating under royal charter. Disaster strikes. The Black Death of 1348. London's rapid growth brought wealth, but also vulnerability. In 1348, a deadly pandemic reached England from Europe, the Black Death. Likely caused by the bubonic plague, it swept through London with terrifying speed. By some estimates, as much as 1/3 to 1/2 of the city's population died in just a few months. Entire families perished, streets were emptied, businesses shuttered, and mass graves dug outside the city walls. The social effects were just as profound as the death toll. Labor shortages led to rising wages, peasant unrest, and the weakening of feudal systems. Many religious institutions lost their priests and monks. People turned to mysticism, flagellation, or fled the city altogether. Yet despite this devastation, London endured. By the late 14th century, it was once again rebuilding, reshaping itself for the challenges of the coming century. Fires and rebellions. Fires were a constant threat in medieval cities made of timber and thatch. In 1136, a massive fire destroyed much of London. Others followed, periodically leveling entire neighborhoods. These disasters prompted reforms, the use of stone and tile in wealthier buildings, wider streets, and fire regulations. Political unrest also flared. In 1381, during the Peasants' Revolt, rebels led by Wat Tyler marched on London, protesting taxes and noble oppression. They entered the city, stormed the Tower of London, and executed the Archbishop of Canterbury. Though the revolt was eventually crushed, it marked a pivotal moment in the struggle between the classes. A city of contrasts. By the 15th century, London had become a city of contradictions, home to both grandeur and poverty, piety and corruption, order and chaos. The River Thames was its lifeline, flowing beneath London Bridge, which itself was crowded with shops, chapels, and homes. Pilgrims came to visit shrines, nobles gathered at court, merchants traded exotic goods, and playwrights began to entertain the masses. Crime was common, and justice was harsh. Punishments were public and brutal, from hangings at Tyburn to beheadings at the Tower. Yet despite these hardships, London thrived. It had weathered conquest, plague, rebellion, and fire. As the medieval period drew to a close and the Tudor dynasty rose in 1485, London stood ready to enter a new golden age, a city deeply shaped by centuries of struggle and ambition. Legacy of medieval London. The legacy of the Norman and medieval centuries is still visible in London today. The Tower of London still looms over the Thames, a silent witness to almost 1,000 years of history, street names, parish boundaries, and even the layout of the City of London follow medieval lines. The governance of the City of London Corporation, led by the Lord Mayor, is one of the oldest continuous municipal structures in the world. It was in this period that London transformed from a regional centre into a national capital, laying the foundation for its later role as a global metropolis.